Hey y'all, how y'all
Hey,
doing? Welcome to
happy Monday.
Monday. Right. um, Hope you guys had a great weekend, great Easter service, um, a great Easter time. We are so glad you joined us again for another Maximize Monday with Maya and Pastor Nick. Um, so glad you can join us. Please share, comment, subscribe, do all that. And we're just again so glad that you have joined us today. How you doing?
hmm I'm
Busy
doing great.
busy
Would you
day?
say? Oh, so busy, but really
Yes.
good.
Productive.
Yes.
Productive. That's always count. That always counts. Yeah. You
How
look
was
tired.
your day? I look tired. I
Yeah.
feel tired. I'm ready to sleep for like a week.
I'm telling you, I wish to God I can only sleep like you sleep when I'm on vacation.
Yeah,
When I'm away from everything, I can sleep.
I
When
have
I'm
no problem sleeping.
when I'm home,
Doesn't work.
oh, I it just
I
does.
I literally have no problem sleeping
I
at
know.
all.
Yeah, trust me, I know. Sleeping for like 8 to 8, 12 hours and 10 hours a day. I'm like, I don't know how you do that.
I wouldn't say 12 hours a day, but yeah, I get some good. I can get some sleep in.
Yeah, 8 to 10 hour, 8 to 10, 8 to 12 sometimes. Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah, wait till you get some responsibilities and some
See, I
family.
have
No, I'm talking about family
I have
responsibilities.
responsibilities.
I'm talking about family responsibilities. Wait,
I hear you.
don't mess all that up. So, hey, hope you are cool. We're not going to be on too long. So, last week we started talking about change, why
Mhm.
change can be challenging. And I know I kind of ran on a rant last week about change. I can't remember what I talked about, what we talked about. But we talked about how change can be quite challenging for people. Part of it because you know we're okay with change in areas that don't make us uncomfortable.
Right.
You know, uh, and part of that's a control thing too,
Mhm.
because I want to maintain control. So I don't want this thing to be fixed because I want to hold on to this. But change is going to come whether you like it or not, and you
Yep.
have to be able to adjust to that change. And I think sometimes if we're not careful, our own inner issues can cause us not to accept change,
Mhm.
see it as a bad, and then make decisions out of an offense, out of negativity, rather than out of a thought process.
Mhm.
You're offended, it can kick logic off a cliff. You know,
Yeah.
and I'm sure you've been offended, I've been offended, and people watching have been offended. You can be offended, and it can make offense can make the most intelligent person think really stupidly.
Mhm.
And what they say makes no sense at all. No rationale, none of that.
It makes sense to them, but yeah.
Right. It makes sense in your head until you
No
say it.
one knows.
Right. But then as soon as you say it out loud, you're like, that don't make no sense. Makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Like the phrase when people say, I'm never going to forgive them. How is you not forgiving somebody, A, that never really sees you, B, if they see you, don't care? How is
Mhm.
that getting back at them? But what it is a
Mhm.
control mechanism. I couldn't
Yep.
control what the person did to me, but I can control my response, and I'm gonna hate them forever and never forgive them, thinking that my hatred towards them is doing anything to them in the first place, which is
Yep.
absolute crazy.
Mhm. That's
Sorry,
true.
crazy.
And I think there's an element of fear to things too. I was talking to someone about this the other day about how we let our insecurities or that negative self-talk in our head
Mhm.
kinda steer things, and it really prevents us from that change and be able to move forward in whatever the situation is. Um, so yeah, I think fear can definitely be a big roadblock in things.
Yeah. Now that you brought that up, let's talk through that. So fear is one of the hardest things for change. So I was reading something in psychology today where it talked about how a lot of people find it hard to change because a they're comfortable with the status quo,
Mhm.
meaning they're comfortable with just how things are. The other thing is, and it goes along with your fear discussion, was there isn't a clear benefit for the change.
Mm-hmm.
So we're scared of it because we're not paying attention to the benefits of it.
Right.
And fear can blind you to the benefits of something being different or a change.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, when you really think about it, the fear of change is usually because we have a negative expectation
Mm.
rather than a perspective of how is this going to benefit me if I change this.
Right. If
If I,
is it worth it? Yeah.
yeah, is it worth it? Is it better than what I have now? Or we're comfortable with what we have now. We're afraid of doing something that's going to make us uncomfortable
Mm-hmm.
because we're not paying attention to if I make these changes, X, Y, and Z is going to happen. We want what we want more than we desire the change.
Right.
You know, so for instance, for Lent, I gave up sweets, starches for the most part. Starches,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, snacking, all that. Just eating vegetables, meat, eating fruit, and that's it. Except on Sundays, because Sundays are a feast day. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because part of it was I want to change to a healthier lifestyle, number one.
Right.
And I saw a picture of the week when the pandemic hit and we were doing
Uh-huh.
we were start recording everything.
Uh-huh.
I was like, look how small I was when the pandemic started.
I've had that experience too.
And I was like,
What happened?
I knew what happened. Oh, I knew what happened. As soon as the
Uh-huh.
pandemic hit, I started practicing cooking new stuff, learned how to make a pizza. I was just eating it up. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm trying to, and I've lost weight over Lent, and I'm trying to keep it going to get back to where I was before the pandemic. But sometimes that does the desire to have your cake and eat it too
Mm-hmm.
can be challenging because I want to keep this while
Mm-hmm.
changing at the same time, but you can't have
Yeah.
this and have you change at the same time.
And I think that's what someone mentioned in the comments last week, not that change is hard, but that it requires discipline.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes that's the hardest thing, is just establishing that discipline of starting something
Mm-hmm.
and sticking with it to completion.
Yeah. And wanting the thing more than you want what you presently want.
Mm-hmm.
So now, going forward, I'm gonna try my best to make it work. My cheat days will be Sunday, and that's it. It's a cheat meal, not a whole day, a cheat meal.
Mm-hmm.
Clean all week, one meal on Sunday. That'll be my cheat meal. But it's like you had to do the math. Do I desire health so I can be here for my family, for the ministry, for myself?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or is this, I had a Zeppeli on Sunday. Oh, so good. Whew, so good. Is that worth?
What is a zeppeli?
It is a fried, it's an Italian dish. It's like a fried donut type thing.
Oh.
It has like the cannoli cream inside of it.
Okay.
Don't turn your face right.
What?
Because you got that.
I didn't say
Okay.
no.
Like your nose a little scrunched up. And it
No,
comes with
I'm
like
thinking it might
raspberry.
taste good.
No, it is so good. It comes with raspberry sauce. Oh, it is so good. And I found a good bread pudding too. It's got a banana taste to it. And I know how you are about stuff.
I like bananas, so I might like it.
I'll hit you up after. I'll tell you what place.
Okay.
But anyway, but it's like you have to come to a decision. Is this worth this?
Mm-hmm.
It's like when people say pick your pain
Mm-hmm.
or pick your hard. It's hard to do the right thing, and it's hard to experience the consequences of doing the wrong thing. Pick your hard.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that doing the right thing, the hard is up front. Doing the wrong thing, the hard is after the pleasure.
Yeah.
You got to choose. Life's going to be hard either way. You got to choose the hard
Mm-hmm.
it's hard. And most of us don't see it like that. We see what's convenient at the moment, not at, life is going to have its challenges. Let me choose my challenges.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
No, I hear you. And it's just interesting because I think we proclaim to want this control, and that's why we make the choices that we make.
Mhm.
But then when we get to a situation where it is out of our control, that's when we really make the decision to try and do better, right? If
Yeah.
we're looking at that idea of health and fitness, whatever.
Mm.
But it's I don't know how to say this, but I feel like if control is really our issue, why are we waiting until it's out of our hands?
All right, give me an example real quick.
I don't have an example.
Okay,
I'm still trying to figure it out.
so let me see if I can flesh this out. So
Okay.
till you find an example. So I think I'm on what you're saying.
It's
So
one of those like Inception type things.
I never seen that movie.
Oh gosh. Okay.
I
Never
know.
mind.
I know. But these kids, I'm telling you, I used to go to movies every week. These kids messed up my
This
ability to
came out before they were born.
win.
I was in college.
Oh, sorry, Woba. I might see if I can.
It's
I'm so
good.
behind on old movies. I need to catch up.
Yeah.
So because that's part of. Let me know if I'm on to something. So
Uh-huh.
it's on what you're saying. If we make a choice,
Uh-huh.
we can't control the consequences. It's out of our
Right.
control. Then that's what you're talking about.
Could we let it go to a point where it's just out of our control?
When you so we're now there's some parts where we can control. Like we can
Right.
always control our decisions. We may not be able to control the consequences of said
Right.
decision.
Right. But I'm saying, okay, so just thinking like in health,
Mhm.
you have high blood pressure, so you shouldn't be eating certain foods.
Right.
But because you have that choice, you
Mhm.
continue to eat what you want until it gets to a point where you need to do differently or you're gonna die,
Yeah.
right? So, like, I feel like when it gets to that point, it really is out of our control because what are the options?
Well, I think well, death is complete. Once that happens, it happens. But you went
Yeah.
way too fast. I thought you was going to say hospital, sick. You
Well,
went
we
way.
can we can go through
You,
those
you
stages.
went finality. Like, geez.
We can go through
You
those
were
stages too.
I'm like, Dad, can
But
the person live and like hopefully survive? And he's like, you just die. Just you're a very morbid person.
but you understand what I'm saying, right? Like it gets to a point where really like we there is nothing else to do but to I mean if you want to not have to go through the consequences of what your actions are. Like
To
it's
me,
you
okay.
it's still trying to make sense of it up here, but like you get what I'm saying, right?
I kind of get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, in that case, person eating bad, they get sick.
Mhm.
There are some things that may not be reversible,
Mhm.
but you can make better decisions to live with the thing that's not reversible. Unless
Mhm.
God heals it, you know, it's there.
Mhm.
Because you always have a choice in how you want. Again, you always have a choice to pick your heart.
Yeah.
You always have a choice to pick to me, as long as we're alive, we always have some choice that we can make to be better. Even if you know, you only got one day left on this earth. That one day can make the most, you can make the most of that
Mhm.
one day with your choices. Because again, the only thing we can really control is our choices. And then after that, we can't we have to trust God here. We have to trust God in his mercy in the consequences.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Mhm.
There was this Lent devotional I was reading. I can't. I would define a day, and the devotional was talking about some of what you're talking about. How we want to control the outcomes, the consequences, and how hard it is to trust God and His mercy in those consequences. It's like when God said to David, after he numbered the people, I can either send pestilence, I can either do this, or I can do this. And David says, Lord, you choose, only you know. He basically was
Mhm.
trusting in the mercy of God that God would make the best choice where his mercy would dominate. He trusted God with the consequences of his decision. Put it that way.
Mhm. Mhm.
He knew he messed up after God brought it up. He knew he messed up after God brought it up and trusted God with the outcome. And I think that's what we have to do.
Yeah.
trust God in the outcome. Let's use a relationship example. Usually when people tell me when a relationship blows up, how come I didn't see that coming? They're usually not telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
We saw the red flags. We just ignored them.
We ignored the pink flags.
The pink flag, right. And then when the relationship blew up, all of a sudden it starts coming to our mind every time we saw little flags here, we saw something here, saw something where the person flashed something to us and we ignored it.
Yeah.
Like I was giving an example in Bible study about a betrayal I went through years ago. And after the relationship soured, I said, how come I didn't see that coming? It had to be the Holy Ghost brought back to my remembrance this moment. I was like, I saw it and I was like, that wasn't nothing, and pushed it aside. And God was trying to show me the whole entire time the person's character, and I ignored him. So, I could have avoided it, but I learned something from it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't realize I was ignoring a Judas at the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a lot of pink and red flags that we ignore because.
So what's a pink flag first?
Well, pink is not quite a red flag, but it's something. That's what a pink flag is.
You made that up?
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. No, go. Keep
going.
It's
like you said, it's a little flag. I forgot what I was going to say now, but yeah.
Sorry. You said you see the little pink flags.
I said we ignore, like you said, the little pink flags because we might see at the time what the value is in, like being in a relationship with someone or, in that moment. But we ignore the big picture of what that's actually doing.
Because in the moment, what they're bringing to the table is greater than the flag that you saw. Mm-hmm. But the red flags aren't for the moment. The red flags are for, because I think when I saw them, it was like a year and some change after I think the timeline was right. It took some time before it really revealed itself. But I say all that to say is that we can't always control our consequences, but we can trust the mercy of God. That even when He has to let life chastise us, His mercy is available, so we can learn from the situation and not be taken out by it.
Yeah, and I think that's the most important part, is that you're learning, and that you're not seeing it as something that happened to you, but something that you can learn from and grow from, and then do better going forward.
Yeah, because pain is a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to tell you something. Pain can be a teacher. It's not God's preferred way of teaching, but it is a way of teaching, though. And God will use suffering to teach us, to shape us, to mold us, to form us. I talked about this last Maximize Monday about the cross, and we, that's what we talked about, not taking the way of the cross, because that's something in it. And but God will use that. He will use betrayal and all those things to shape you and to form you, to test your character and all that. But often pain can introduce a change. When a woman's pregnant, it could be one of the first signs that she get ready to have a baby is some pain.
Yeah.
It's not always the water breaking. Sometimes it's pain. And pain is a signal. I ain't a woman, so the water breaking might, I don't know, but I'm just, pain is usually a signal.
There's something about to happen.
Something about to happen. Some change is inevitable. Change must be, if you're going to follow God, you have to get used to change. That's all I'll say. Because God is constantly evolving how He does things. And if you're going to serve God, you have to get used to His evolution.
Yep.
So I think last week we talked about how, I love 90s church, but I don't want to go back to that.
Right.
We did, because I see how we used to have church. That was the real way of having church. But that was That was church fit for that era. It's
Mhm.
2022.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
love Silver and Gold by Kurt Franklin, but I don't want to be singing it every other Sunday now.
Mhm.
Something that's contemporary for our now, it
Yeah. No, you have to allow yourself to grow and to experience new things.
yeah, because all change. I think a lot of it is just the fear of change. It's fear of
Mhm.
what's going to happen, the unknown. That's a lot of fear. I don't know how this is going to work out. Will it work out? All that unknown, but trusting God with the unknown
Mhm.
is important.
And I think too that that's where a lot of like, have you ever just found yourself like you're uncomfortable, like you don't know what it is, but you don't feel like something is right because you're not moving or you're not progressing.
Yeah,
You know, I think being afraid of that change and not taking different opportunities could be why. Like your
yeah,
spirit is telling you it's time to change and to move forward, but you can't do it unless you take that first step.
yeah. I mean, but that stagnation is being comfortable in comfort,
Mhm.
status quo. And we're not telling people just to jump out there and just change for change's sake. We're talking about legit.
You
You
gotta be
thought
smart
through
about
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you thought through it. You prayed about it. You got counsel about it. That kind of thing. I know a lot of people who just make decisions and then pray that God will bless it later.
Mm.
And then they come back, oh, I made a bad decision. Well, if you'd have came and talked to somebody beforehand, could have counseled you against a decision. But you
Yeah.
gotta let people be grown though, you know.
Mhm.
Um, but that whole concept of being stagnant, being stuck is a real thing. But you got to figure out why you're stuck and why you're stagnant.
Yeah.
Again, choose your hard. It's gonna
Mhm.
be hard staying there in the same position, or you gonna choose your hard to grow.
Yep.
They say regret weighs tons. One of my biggest things when I get older is I don't want to be one of those people with the, as he used to say, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Mhm.
You heard that before, right?
Yep.
Thank you. Okay, I was just checking. These young millennials, yeah.
You have little faith.
That's because usually when I bring up something old, you're like, okay,
No, I know that.
the shoulda, coulda,
I know.
wouldas,
I
and
understand that.
we,
Thank
we,
you.
we saw Sister Act 2, right?
Huh?
You saw Sister Act 2, right?
Yes, of course.
I was about
That
to
was
say.
the best one.
And you remember the scene? She said, I want you to shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You
Uh-huh.
don't remember that scene. But
I don't remember the thing, but yes. I
but
know that phrase.
yes, not being one of those people. I should have did this. Could I mean I probably have a few, but I don't want a whole list,
Yeah.
a laundry list of stuff, because regret weighs tons. It weighs absolute tons.
Mhm.
Regret's not something you want to live in.
Nope.
Nah,
At least I can say I tried.
right, right. You know.
Mhm.
So with that in mind, next week I think I want to talk about how it's hard to change because with life changes comes relationship changes. And the
Mhm.
hard part is that's going to deserve a whole thing. The hard part,
Yeah.
I know people that won't change because they know how it's going to affect certain relationships. Not
Yeah.
that the person changing is going to abandon the person, but the person that they're with won't adjust well to the changes.
Mhm.
And sometimes we choose the comfort of people that we know and not pursue the life that God has for us and the possibilities that God presents because we're stuck to someone that can't give us what God can give us. One of the
Oh
hardest
boy.
one of the hardest things to do is to recognize if I make this choice, I know some people are going to struggle with it. Either they're going to get on board or they're going to fall off.
Mhm.
Not every change doesn't have to eliminate relationships, but when we do make certain changes, it will affect. Like if you go into a business on your own and you really
Yeah.
work hard, your friends were used to you hanging out a lot. Now you don't have that much time. Some of them have the sense to say, this person started a business. They really don't have time like they used to. Let's work out a time where we can make time. And then
Mhm.
you have those other ones who are always complaining, you never got time for me.
Mhm.
and then start to resent you.
Or you're too good. You're too good to hang out with us now. You changed.
Yep. But that's the whole point. I did change.
Mm-hmm.
And some people make that decision to again, I'm not saying you jump off and abandon every relationship. I'm just saying some people won't go along for the ride.
Yeah.
It's a part of life.
It's very true.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a doozy.
It should be an interesting one. So with that in mind, don't forget to join us this week. This is the third Tuesday tomorrow. What's third Tuesday?
Third Tuesday, Link Couples.
Link Couples Ministry. Tomorrow night, Pastor Rich and his wife will be back on. Of course, Bible study on Wednesday. We're going to start talking about the priesthood and God calling us the kingdom of priests. That whole identity series we started back in we've been in Exodus 19 since November, I think.
Yeah.
We've been building up to this moment, working through all those identity issues we have, all those identity struggles that we have, to get us to the point where when God identifies us, we can accept it and not reject it like Israel.
Right.
But again, change is challenging. And if you've been a slave, come on, Israel, for longer than you've been free, you'll continue to identify as a slave rather than as a priest to the God.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to preach greatness to someone that's insecure because they're dirty. It's a whole thing that we got to go through. So we've been kind of building towards, I was wondering when God was going to release us to do this Exodus 19 on the priesthood. It took January, February, March, 5 months.
Yeah.
5 months of talking about identity to kind of get us to this point. Now we talk about this priesthood, we can actually enter into it and start to identify as a kingdom, a nation of God's priests. And it doesn't sound sexy, but once we start teaching it, it'll start unfolding who God has called us to be. Hopefully, pray, Lord willing, is going to be cool.
I know.
These Bible studies,
look forward to.
These Bible studies have been helping me, just personally, just because it makes we've been intentional about thinking through our narratives. That's what we started off with, our narratives, what we say about ourselves. What we say about ourselves can be our perception, but not actually be true. We believe something that's not actually happening, but based off our own self-perception. We live based off our own self-perception. It just, but anyway, that's the whole thing. Why God's trying to change how we see ourselves so we can start living differently.
Yeah.
Because a lot of our fears, our insecurities, our hangups, and all those things are tied to our self-perception. I'm trying to go too long on this. I want people listening to really ask themselves the question: the things you're afraid of, why are you afraid of it? Most people don't think about why they're afraid of it. That's why they can never overcome it, because they never think about why. And never tell themselves the truth about why. And then ask yourself the question: is why I'm afraid is why I'm afraid this thing logical? Does it really make sense outside of your head? Say it out loud or tell somebody, does this make sense? And see what they say. All right, let's get off of that because we'll be here all day.
No, I'm sure we're gonna learn a lot. That's for sure.
So we'll see. I don't know if we're gonna talk about that last part in Bible study, but just priesthood. But that was just a little tidbit I was throwing in here. Consider your fears. Ask yourself why you're afraid of them, and see if your reasoning is actually logical, or is it based off some perception you have of yourself, based off some event, some pain, what somebody said to you, etc. Because secure people, real secure people, insecure people, they change themselves in shallow ways. Real secure people make change in positive ways. It's not that secure people, it's not that they don't make changes. They do. They just make them with some sense.
Right.
It's not that they're fully happy with themselves. It's just that I learned to not identify fully with what's wrong with me or what I don't like about me.
Right.
Because I'm more than what I like about me.
True. And I was going to say, they get to a point where it's just like, I don't care because I have a focus.
Yeah. It's not dominant. It's
right.
It can be like a low level fear, but it's not something that's controlling you anymore. change. Praise the Lord. All right, y'all. We got to get out of here. We'll talk to y'all later. See you next Monday. Bye, y'all.